Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Down by Contact Football Podcast, episode number 12, The Dirty Dozen. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at DBC_football. Check us out on YouTube, our YouTube channel, DBC Football, or on the web at www.dbcfootball.com. Check out our blog, photo galleries. You can find our YouTube channel through there. Be sure to share us with your friends, and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher to our podcast. Of course, as always, I'm here joined by Tom. Tom, how are you?
I'm a little sleepy today, but besides that, not too bad.
That's great. I really didn't care if you were sleepy or not, but thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
You asked.
I did ask. I wasn't sincere, but moving on now. Also joined by Bill. Bill, how you doing?
Greetings and salutations.
Always, sir. Always. You're not sleepy, are you? I actually care.
I mean, no.
That's good.
Rude.
I could be later.
Rude.
That was intentionally rude. You're a Cowboys fan. You don't matter.
You're rude.
It's a hot one today.
It is.
Mid-90s. How we all dealing with that?
It's making me a little sleepy.
I mean, I cope with the heat by putting my face over a burning wire.
Yes. That sounds like the right thing to do. Okay. Well, like I said, this is episode 12 of the Down by Contact Football Podcast. We are a bit of podcast breaking news. Due to the lull of the offseason, from the time the draft ends, a week after, up until the start of the preseason, when we really get into our fantasy action, we are actually going to podcast bi-weekly. So we'll have the podcast this week, and then you'll see us again in 2 weeks. I should say hear us again. So, without any further ado, and with that shocking revelation...
Hey, maybe see us if we actually have a camera.
That would be great.
But it won't be again. It'll just be see us.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
All right.
Anyway, let's get started. Tom, we're going to kick it over to you. What do you have going on?
Well, this week in NFL history, in 1994, we have the infamous O.J. Simpson car chase.
The infamous O.J. Simpson car chase. The white Bronco.
The white Bronco.
Great.
And 2014... former Steelers head coach and Hall of Famer Chuck Noll passed away at the age of 82.
Yeah, Chuck Noll, one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. If you're a Steelers fan, obviously you know who Chuck Noll is. He was a lifer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you talk about the handoff from Chuck Noll to Bill Cowher. Chuck Noll, 4 Super Bowls. Pretty hard to do.
It is, yeah.
Unless your name's Bill Belichick. Circling back to the infamous white Bronco chase of O.J. Simpson, my wonderful O.J. Simpson trivia, the ultimate trivia question. So if you're ever in a bar and you want to stump somebody, O.J. Simpson was actually the original choice to play the Terminator, but the director thought he was too friendly. So they went ahead and moved on.
If only he knew.
Oh, allegedly.
I mean, he did have a very friendly disposition, so...
Yeah, according to all accounts. So,
I mean, if anyone's seen the recent Dave Chappelle specials, he does have some stories with O.J. Simpson, and
yeah,
they're amusing. I definitely recommend giving them a listen or watch.
Yeah, and since we're on the subject, we talked about this pre-production, but Dave Chappelle is fantastic. And Tom's younger than us, and he believes in Key and Peele. But I'm sorry, Key and Peele are fake Chappelle.
I'm not blasting Dave Chappelle. I'm just saying he was a little bit before my time.
Doesn't mean he's not the greatest.
I never said he wasn't. I'm just saying my time was Key and Peele.
Millennial.
What are you?
Nothing.
We must culture ourselves.
Yeah, so, shameless plug there. Feel free to check out the Dave Chappelle stand-up specials on Netflix.
Getting a lot of airtime on our podcast.
There you go. Free of charge.
All right, so...
I mean, we have a lot pressing right now. So
we do.
I think we need to move along, as Tom was very...
Exactly.
So moving on, just some notable birthdays. We have arguably the greatest coach of all time, Vince Lombardi.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I feel like that deserves like a moment of silence. And there it was.
Even the dripping seemed to cease during...
That out of context, no one is going to have any idea what that means.
So let's not explain it.
Let's not explain it.
I mean, I don't know if he was that great. Maybe one day they'll name a trophy after him.
One day. And unless you've won it when he was named after it, they're the only ones that count, apparently, if you're a Cowboys fan.
Right. Remember, you haven't done anything unless you've won a Lombardi trophy.
Exactly.
Even if your name is actually Lombardi.
Exactly.
Joe Montana. Yearly.
Joe Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got time to burn here with all our pressing facts here. Joe Cool. Favorite story about Joe Cool in the Super Bowl. I believe it was in the Super Bowl. Maybe not. I think I'm mixing stories here. It's not professional, Tom.
It's not professional.
However, there's a story.
Slipping.
Joe Cool, Joe Montana, under pressure to calm the huddle down for a comeback win. He looked up in the crowd and saw John Candy, and he pointed. It was a Super Bowl.
Was it against the Bengals?
I don't think so. He pointed up and said, "Hey, isn't that John Candy?" And everybody was nice, nice and relaxed after that. Pretty cool story. Joe Cool. Don't mess with him.
John Candy.
John Candy.
The power of candy.
The power of candy. I feel like that's a T-shirt. It's got to be a T-shirt.
It could be a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Whenever we start making T-shirts.
Yeah. Great.
Or continue.
Continue?
One of those
I think
trademark.
I think we got a couple, not for sale, but
Not yet.
not yet. Eventually.
We'll sure be bringing those along to our tailgate parties.
Yes.
Be on the lookout.
Also, yearly fantasy disappointment, Sammy Watkins.
Oh, Slinging Sammy. I feel like if your name is Sam, Sammy, or any variation of the like, you're not a good football player. Like, I get Sammy Ball, but that's just a different generation.
Sam Madison.
Yeah. Fine. I was referencing Sam Bradford.
What about Sammy Sleeves?
That's where I was going. I'm an Eagles fan. Come on.
Jay Ajayi also
Ajayi
celebrates this week.
Great. How old? Stumped you.
Yeah, you did.
Good. Moving on.
And lastly, I have Brian Piccolo.
Really?
Yeah.
Brian's song.
Mm-hmm. I have seen that movie.
There you go. There's a movie Tom has seen. For those of you listening, Tom is not very diverse in movies, unless it's the Goofy movie.
Or
Tom probably
Rock-a-Doodle.
Rock-a-Doodle. Tom probably hasn't seen it. Yeah, and he likes Batman and Robin, the George Clooney Bat Nipple movie.
I did not say that.
You did.
I just said that I've seen that one.
I can see it in your eyes.
I just said I've seen that one.
I can see it in your eyes.
Okay. That's all the notable birthdays I have for this week.
That's all of the notable birthdays?
Yeah, it's kind of a slow week.
Wow. But Lombardi's there.
It is.
And that kind of takes the cake.
It started off kind of good with Lombardi and Montana.
He's no Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb,
Yeah.
David Akers, or any Brian Westbrook. He's none of those guys. Deuce Staley. But Vince Lombardi, I heard he made a huge impact in the football world.
He did.
He might have won a couple big games anyway.
Couple few.
Maybe.
Yeah. He beat the Chiefs. Big whoop.
He definitely made it to at least a big game in 1960.
I don't think he won that one, did he? Who won that one? Tom, why don't you take the ball on that? Who won that game?
It doesn't really matter because it's not a real championship. So.
Typical classic Tom.
Just literally a championship game, not a real championship.
It doesn't matter.
So happy birthday to all those guys and everyone else I did not name.
What?
Anyone else who was also born in this week,
anyone else I did not name.
That's good. Notable birthdays this week, definitely my mom. So shout out to Mom.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Mom.
This Saturday.
Yeah. So good for her. Having a birthday, being born on a day. That's great.
It's a thing.
It's a major accomplishment.
It's a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when I tried to be born myself on a day.
Exactly. How else would you do it?
I'll say, swinging back to tailgates and days that we were born right around my birthday, we are definitely locked in for the October 29th game at Lincoln Financial Field against the San Francisco 49ers.
Locked and loaded.
So probably bring that up a few times before it actually happens. If anyone actually listens and wants to get with us and do the tailgating thing, like Dylan alluded to earlier, good times.
Absolutely, big things planned. We'll have food, drink, and some music going on. Some games,
some football,
some stuff, and some things.
There might even be a football game.
There might even be a football game that the Eagles are going to win.
Maybe.
They're playing the 49ers.
They have Brian Hoyer. So watch out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm terrified of Brian Hoyer. Don't make me eat my words here.
Yeah, right.
So, no, it should be a lot of fun. We'll celebrate Bill's birthday, and we'll have Tom DD. Always drive safe. Tom. You're the DD.
or use public transportation or Uber or Lyft.
Uber works.
It'd be interesting to see if the Uber or Lyft would allow me to put all the tailgate equipment into their vehicle.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as I know, we're talking just generally, not just our
generally
specific
speaking.
needs. Yeah. I mean, sure, if it's, Uber XL.
Fair enough.
We need an SUV for 2 people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you see all the stuff.
Right, exactly. Now please load it for us.
Come on, good sir.
All right. A couple big things happen in the sports world unrelated to football. We'll give some shout-outs here. First up, the Golden State Warriors have won the NBA Finals.
They did.
And no one cares.
I do.
Sorry, that was personal preference. The Golden State Warriors closed out the NBA Finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James put up another gaudy stat line, but couldn't come through. Golden State closed it out. Kevin Durant had himself a good old time. One too many beers. He was quite funny at the podium. Other than that, I didn't care about this final series at all. I don't care much for the Warriors or the Cavaliers. What do you think, Tom? What's your analysis of the finals?
I mean...
Exactly. In other news, the Pittsburgh Penguins closed out the Nashville Predators in the Stanley Cup Finals.
That one no one cares about.
I actually do care about that one. I'm a Nashville guy.
I meant more Pittsburgh winning.
I rep Nashville.
I was
going to
say,
time.
I'm sure Dylan cares as Philly native. We hate the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, I don't care about hockey that much. I will get into it if they actually make the playoffs, but you see the Flyers, they're not doing that. But, you got to hate the Penguins. I almost said Steelers. And obviously the Predators are from Nashville. And where is Nashville, Dylan?
Tennessee. I love Tennessee.
There's your Tennessee shout-out.
There's my plug, man. Even though like
I feel like you missed it a couple
UT
weeks.
is actually in Knoxville, which is 3 or so hours away from Nashville. Nashville has Vanderbilt, but Nashville's a fun city. I highly recommend it. Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators play, is actually really nice. If you've never been there, I recommend it. And as Bill alluded to, we hate the Penguins here in Philly. Sidney Crosby, not a big fan. Crosby. He cries a lot.
Yeah. I like it.
Not a big fan of his. I don't think many people outside of the city of Pittsburgh are. I mean, I don't think, if he played for a different team, Pittsburgh natives would hate him.
Probably.
He is a crybaby.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And
He's a dirty player.
I don't really follow. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he definitely, at least in that instance that I saw, whatever the cat's name was, he was just bouncing his head off the friggin' the rink. That's it's no good.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do that, especially when you've had a history of concussions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yourself.
I mean, hockey is a rough sport. I mean, you're talking about flying at whatever speed there. Like, you're going to get hurt. It's rough. You got to be a tough dude to even play that sport. Or a tough girl. Let me not be sexist, but
there you go.
When you are deliberately slamming someone's head against the ice like that, that's no good.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. It was sad to see, and the Penguins have now won 2 years in a row,
which is even sadder to see.
so much sadder. Being a partial season ticket holder for the Philadelphia Flyers,
is that still a thing?
It's still a thing. It's definitely a sad sight. So sorry to the Nashville Predators, but it was nice to see them make it for the first time, and hopefully more good things to come for them in the coming years, unless they're playing the Flyers.
Yes, of course.
Then 4-letter words and all that.
There you go. On to some football news. Look at that.
Wow.
Football podcast. We're going to talk about some football.
Who'd have thunk?
Who'd have thunk it? A few guys holding out for new deals or potentially holding out for new deals and playing coy with the media. Odell Beckham skipped voluntary workouts and such. Report surfaced that he is clamoring for a new deal. He himself says he is not. I tend to believe the report because Odell Beckham is a selfish child.
He did show up to mandatory minicamp, though.
Because he gets fined if he doesn't.
Still. Some players didn't.
Some players know they're going to make a whole lot more money. Odell, he doesn't want to completely wear out that welcome in New York. So, other players, Aaron Donald did report to mandatory camp. Again, you're going to get paid eventually. You want a new deal. Why get fined? So Aaron Donald, best defensive tackle in the NFL, he showed up for mandatory minicamp, which is really nice for the youngest head coach in NFL history, Sean McVay, and Wade Phillips, in trying to install a brand new defense for the Rams, along with Connor Barwin. Let's not forget Barwin.
I forgot about him.
Of course you did. So,
because that's rude.
Those are examples of guys showing up. Guy who didn't show up, Dwayne Brown, a little bit surprising. Dwayne Brown
doesn't have too much leverage.
Yeah, I don't think he has a whole lot of leverage. Left tackle for the Houston Texans, decent player, but I don't think he is a skip mandatory camp kind of a player and get his way. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, they would love to have Dwayne Brown. Bill O'Brien, of course, he's always very short with the media and has a perpetual attitude. One of the things I love about OB, but he had nothing to say on the subject. Mm-hmm. He said, we know we need him here, and he's not here. That's all OB really had to offer.
Thank you.
On the flip side of that coin, a player with huge star power that is holding out, who possibly has worn out his welcome in Pittsburgh, Le'Veon Bell. Holding out. I don't think he's hurting himself as far as learning the playbook. Obviously, he's a phenomenal player, and I'm sure he knows that offense.
Arguably the best running back in the league.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Certainly the best all around, I would think.
That's what I feel, but,
So Lev Bell's holding out, wants a new deal. I'm sure Pittsburgh already knows what they're going to do. They either want him or they don't. We'll see what happens. I'd certainly love to see him, go play for another team. Be interesting to see.
I got no problem with that. I mean, between him and Antonio Brown, you're talking about juggling some expensive headaches there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they want to do that.
How much guaranteed money do you give a guy who's either been suspended every year or hurt?
Yeah. When has he ever played a full season?
I don't think he has.
There you are.
Not that I think of.
Yeah, I don't think he has. But who knows? Maybe he turns it around. And LeGarrette Blount's in Philly now, so he can't get him in trouble. But maybe they're closer, so he gets in trouble. I don't know. It's a 4.5-hour drive. So we'll see. What do you think? Do you think Odell, Aaron Donald, Dwayne Brown, Lev Bell, you see any of them getting new deals soon?
I really don't see is Dwayne Brown. I mean, the other three have earned it at least by their play on the field. I mean, definitely Aaron Donald. I mean, he's not really big news guy. You don't really hear too much bad stuff about him.
You don't hear anything bad about him. And he was actually really cool to watch on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, but I mean, Odell and Le'Veon Bell are both great players, so they do deserve the thing. But Dwayne Brown's
deserve is a hard word to use for Lev Bell. I think he's a phenomenal talent, but you have so much risk to weigh with him.
That's true, but I mean, just seeing how that offense runs with him in the backfield they're almost unstoppable.
Unless a good team is better with a better running back. That's solid.
Yeah.
Solid analysis.
I'll say, something that's true in any industry, any job, that no matter how great you are at it, you're not great if you're not there.
Right.
And nobody wants to pay you money for not being there.
Yeah, that's where that guaranteed word, right? All these players want that guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they don't have to show up if something happens.
Exactly.
I get everybody wants their security, but listen, you're already getting millions of dollars as it is.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh historically, outside of Big Ben, they really don't mess around with anyone who has off the field issues. I mean, Lev Bell has been. I think it's been surprising that he's made it as long as he did with the issues. But being a great player will do that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Roethlisberger is a guaranteed Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. So, remember, Santonio Holmes was the Super Bowl MVP, got busted for smoking pot, and was traded essentially instantly for a fourth-round pick. So, Pittsburgh doesn't mess around. We'll see what happens. Other news here. Jimmy Garoppolo has an injury of some kind. He didn't participate in practice. Is that a story?
No.
Does it matter?
No.
I didn't think so.
Unless he was the starting quarterback of another team, it does not matter.
I mean, I'm concerned, but I'm in wait-and-see mode.
Wait-and-see mode, yeah. We'll see that injury report when it finally comes out.
Yeah. I'm waiting with bated breath.
There you go. Another player who wants a new deal but isn't really holding out, just kind of vocalizing his stance, Greg Olsen. Realistically, he's been the most consistent tight end over the last 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a shock to say. I think Gronk is the best talent. Travis Kelce is flashy. But Greg Olsen has been Mr. Consistent and Cam's security blanket.
Yeah.
The guy wants a new deal. I say give it to him.
Yeah, it's for a solid workhorse. Why not?
Yeah. He didn't really show any signs of slowing down. Catches everything you throw at him. And he's a solid fantasy pickup every single year.
He is. Definitely not Gronk in the second round.
Definitely not Gronk in the second round.
Or Gronk in the first round. Not saying anyone here did that, but I know some people.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do it. It's not never take. I don't care how good a tight end is. Tight ends will get great accolades for getting 10 touchdowns in a season. A lot of receivers can get you 10 touchdowns in a season. I understand Gronk's a great talent, but man, Tight end in the first round? What were people thinking? Even the second round? No. Did anyone here take a tight end in the second round? No.
They might have. They might
have.
I know when my brother was in our league, he took Gronk early.
He did.
I don't think he took
recall
him
what round.
that
Yeah.
early. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
third
was.
or fourth, maybe.
There's someone I worked with last year that took Gronk in the first round, and then that totally bit him because you saw how injured Gronk was. He didn't play in the Super Bowl. Obviously, fantasy is irrelevant at that point, but
Yeah.
it was not one of his better years for sure. But
Absolutely.
he's been injured through much of his career.
Yeah. Even dating back to college, it's been a red flag for
I
him.
will never draft him again.
I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say all that.
No,
now.
I'm saying personally, I would never draft. You guys can, but I personally would not.
I'll say if I have a late third and he's good to go this year,
he's on my
that's about as high as I would burn it. Actually,
he's on my undraftable list now.
There you go. A few injury-related things popped up here. Rams defensive end Robert Quinn had some kind of hand procedure. Doesn't look like it's overly serious. However, again, Rams are installing a new defense. Mm-hmm. If he's out for an extended period of time, that's a huge deal. He's one of the better defensive ends in the NFL. Taylor Decker, as we talked about on last week's show, the official injury news is out. He is out 4 to 6 months, left tackle of the Detroit Lions. Huge blow to Matt Stafford and his fantasy value. I actually, Matt Stafford was my number 2 rated fantasy quarterback going into last season, and that shocked a lot of people, but that was based on the teams he was playing and the way those defenses stacked up the year before. It paid off very well for me. Of course, I didn't win, but Matt Stafford was a top 5 quarterback. One last bit of injury news here is in terms of injured but not on the mend, potentially. Andrew Luck, that back injury, Pagano said he hopes he can make it to camp and participate, so we'll see what happens. Andrew Luck not being available, if that ends up being a long-term thing. I mean, the guy's been injured for more than a calendar year. Scary stuff. And you heard it from Jim Irsay. He thought he'd have multiple Super Bowls by now with Andrew Luck.
Well, that's what happens when you let your GM draft nothing but offensive players. Skill players.
Yeah. Yeah, they finally took some linemen this year, but man, Andrew Luck, I hope it's not very serious. You know, he's good for the game. Mm-hmm. He's one of the better up-and-coming quarterbacks, so wish the best, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
He's been there for how many years? How up-and-coming can you still call him?
Yeah, 2012, so, you know.
Right.
Hey, Robert Griffin won Rookie of the Year that year.
That's correct.
There is that. Whatever that's worth.
Don't forget, they reported Sidney Jones' boot came off, too.
Sidney Jones' boot is off. He's going to be running soon.
Whether or not that means he'll be playing in 2017 or not is a different question. But
yeah, I think whether or not he plays in 2017 depends on how we're doing. I think if we're a dumpster fire, which I don't think is likely, and he's able to come off the pup and play, I don't think he does. If we're in the hunt and you have the potential best corner in a draft class able to participate for your team, you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Melvin Ingram signed a 4-year, $66 million contract extension. And Tom, you let me know what happened with the photo mishap?
I think it was NBC Sports on Twitter. When they broke that news, they put a picture of Melvin Gordon instead of Melvin Ingram. And Melvin Gordon called them out on it.
You can't mix your Melvins.
Yeah.
You know? You just can't mix your Melvins.
You can't do that.
Don't do it. Don't mix your Melvins.
Everyone knows that.
It's a rule.
Yeah.
Don't mix your Melvins. If you take anything away from this podcast, don't mix your Melvins. Gosh. I have an Uncle Melvin.
New t-shirt.
Don't mix your Melvins. T-shirt. Gold.
Trademark.
Killing it.
This is just the episode we come up with.
That's all we're doing here.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing.
Happening.
That's all we're doing. Ravens tight end Ben Watson is back from his Achilles injury, coming 2 years ago with the Saints. Put up some pretty good numbers. So Joe Flacco lost Dennis Pitta, but he got Benjamin Watson, and guess what?
What?
Jeremy Maclin signed a 2-year, $11 million contract with the Baltimore Ravens. He rejoins Marty Mornhinweg as his offensive coordinator, like he had back in 2009.
Most importantly, free
crab cakes. Yes. How do you not have a good time with crab cakes?
That's true.
What movie is that from?
Ooh.
Yes.
I'm go ahead and say it.
Vince Vaughn, Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers. Crab cakes in football. That's what Maryland does. That's another quote from that movie.
There you are.
Darn it. Gosh darn it. Yeah, Jimmy Seafood in Baltimore has extended the offer for free crab cakes for life to Jeremy Maclin for signing with the Baltimore Ravens.
Pretty sweet.
That's
deal.
solid.
It's better than the 11 mil.
That is better than the 11 mil. I mean, you could cash in.
Yeah.
Right? Just like show up and
you
just like
get
fill
more
up.
than 11 mil worth of crab cakes.
How could you not? Shouldn't that be the goal?
That's what I'd do.
You're talking about like 11 mil per year. Right?
No, 11 million total. 11 million total.
Oh, you're talking about
2 years.
No. I said like what he was signed with the Chiefs for. It was something like that, I think, right?
Yeah, his first year alone was 11 million.
Right. Okay.
And now he has a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Ravens. So a little bit of a step back. It's a value rebuilding for Jeremy Maclin.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. No, yeah. I mean, that's anyone who thought it was going to be anything other than that. Yeah. You know, it's either you're not all that and you're just going to make what money you can while you're here, or you actually prove yourself and maybe next year get something a little better. So.
Yeah. I think this is absolutely no disrespect to Steve Smith Sr., but being in his mid to late 30s while with Joe Flacco doesn't necessarily count. He was still pretty solid, but this is definitely the best receiver Joe Flacco has had in his career. I don't feel an argument coming on that, do you? Any objections there?
Who had
Anquan Bolden in his mid to late 30s.
I'm about to see like what Jeremy Maclin they're going to get. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Is he going to be back to Eagles under? I hate to say, but it's accurate. Chip Kelly, that Jeremy Maclin, or is he going to get
Chipatron?
Or you're going to get Jeremy Maclin of last year, who was like what 40 some catches or something. It was
injuries and
it was just not a great year. His worst year.
Yeah. With the exception of the 500-yard blip last year, the 2 years prior combined, he had about 2,400 yards. So which Maclin are you getting? That's a great point. Coming off of a little bit of an injury-prone season, is he at an early decline? Who knows? We'll find out.
Which, when there was reports after he was released that obviously a lot of Eagles fans wanted us to go after him.
We did.
I know we did.
Yeah,
I understand that, but as you also look at the cap room, you look at. Do we really need to go for another receiver at this point?
Right. We're not going to carry 8 wide receivers into the season. It's not realistic. So, Mike Garafolo of NFL Network actually did report that we took an official stab at signing Jeremy Maclin. It would have put us all the way up against the cap. We have about, I think, 5.2. He signed for 5.5.
Right.
So.
Outbid on Jeremy Maclin once again.
This time by 0.3 million instead of 1 million.
Right.
So, we're getting closer. Maybe in 2 years. Who knows? Derek Carr, speaking of money and contracts, Derek Carr is looking to become the highest paid quarterback of all time. Early reports are that the deal will eclipse $25 million per season.
It's insane.
That is absolutely insane. It's making those old school rookie pre-wage scale contracts look like nothing.
Yeah.
The Jamarcus Russell contract looks light compared to these. Of course, Derek Carr looks like he's worth it. The Sam Bradford contract. Thank you. Yeah, he was the last one before the wage scale.
For all you can say about Aaron Rodgers as a personality, he at least won a Super Bowl when they threw all that money at him.
It's true. But, hey, if I'm Derek Carr, I'm not going to shy away from him.
He's in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. So.
Listen, I'm not going to say like where I work, what I do for a living here, but you guys know. You know how much I make anyway. Dylan, you do. If they wanted to pay me double that to do the same thing, I'm not going to say, well, you know what? It's not worth that. Save your money. You're like, nah, man, I'm going to live a little more comfortably.
Absolutely. Derek Carr, he's holding it down, and he looks like he could be worth it. Obviously, with quarterbacks, you're paying for potential.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
The search for a franchise quarterback consumes every general manager and coach. So until you have one, guess what? You're going to throw money at guys to find out.
And just think, the Houston Texans passed on him twice.
And literally only because they had drafted his brother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was off their draft board, which is intense. I mean, you imagine on that team, Derek Carr, the Houston Texans, #1 defense last year. It would have been fun to watch.
What was it, like 12 year difference, 13 years?
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins.
David Carr was the #1 overall pick in 2002.
2002.
Yeah. Anyway, huge news out of Dallas. They're going to wear blue uniforms at home. A lot.
Yeah.
Other news out of Dallas. Ryan Switzer was mistaken by their security guard to be their kicker. He's very offended by that, and it's just another reason why Dallas is terrible. Their security guards don't treat them like people. They treat them like kickers.
Kickers are people too.
Punters are people too.
So are kickers.
Spread the awareness.
Not Dan Bailey.
T-shirt number 3. Kickers are people too.
That's right. Rich Eisen may have punters are people, but we've got
Trademark.
kickers are people. Doug Williams has been hired as the fake Redskins GM.
Just the face.
He's the face. Bruce Allen, no, he's not fooling anyone. He still has full control of the roster. So Jay Gruden and Doug Williams now report to Bruce Allen in matters of the roster, the 53-man roster.
It was like whoever wasn't Robert De Niro in Casino, like he was the one that was actually in charge.
Yeah.
I think they had like Don Rickles.
Don Rickles? Really? Was that?
Yeah, it's Don Rickles is the bald guy. He's Don Rickles. Obviously, he's bald. But yeah.
Wow.
The one that Joe Pesci beats over the head with the phone.
That'll do it. So Doug Williams won a Super Bowl for the Redskins in '88.
He did.
And now he's their fake GM.
Congrats.
So that Washington football program, it's doing great. It's doing great, guys.
I got another analogy, but this is an actual football analogy. It is Peyton Manning, whatever team he's on, the offensive coordinator.
With the exception of Tom Moore and Adam Gase. And maybe Bruce Arians, early Peyton Manning. But everyone else.
Oh, no, I'm just saying once he was Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Mike McCoy.
You're the guy that...
You're not fooling anyone, Mike McCoy. You weren't an offensive coordinator.
You might as well be the backup quarterback,
Jim Sorgi.
Jim Sorgi.
You're welcome.
I can hold a clipboard really well.
Absolutely. He ended up backing up both brothers.
He did.
So, Jim Sorgi, good for you, buddy. You're on the podcast. We love you, Jim.
Made it to the big time.
Eric Decker was officially released by the New York Jets, signaling that they are just completely and officially in full rebuild mode. Maybe we'll see Hack this year. And
Attack of the Hack.
Attack of the Hack. We plan on going
T-shirt.
to Attack of the Hack is a T-shirt. We're killing it right now.
I will not condone that particular one because
Penn State.
Yeah, Christian Hattenberg is a freaking dumpster fire.
You don't know that.
We'll find out.
I could be proven wrong.
I venture to say
not that he has a receiver to throw to, but
we are anticipating going to the December 3rd Chiefs-Jets game in New York. I fully anticipate that to be
Patrick Mahomes versus Christian.
No, it'll be Alex Smith. Settle
Unless
down.
He gets hurt.
He won't. I expect that to be a Christian Hackenberg game. It'll be a lot of fun. I mean, the guy's still 21. I don't think he's turned 22 yet. So, hey, man, he's got time to grow. Early reports have been that he's much improved.
He's
like every other player in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know? It's
Blake
like training camp
Bortles.
stories. Yeah, Blake Bortles. Everyone's fixed their mechanics. We're good.
Yeah.
See if we can get my cousin on the phone.
Every team is going to be 12 and 4.
Yeah. We do a show 2 weeks from now and see. We'll just talk about Christian Hackenberg for 20 minutes.
We
and how
could.
great he is.
Yeah, he's no Trace McSorley, current quarterback at Penn State. I believe that to be true. Other news out of the NFC East, man. Ben McAdoo got a haircut, and he's still ugly. So, good for you. Good for you, buddy. I can't believe that. I wanted to talk about that because that was an actual story on NFL.com that Ben McAdoo got a haircut.
Said he looked like a mobster or something like that. Like the headline.
Yeah.
Like after living in Jersey for 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. These are the storylines of the offseason. Ben McAdoo got a haircut.
McAdoo got a haircut. The Cowboys are going to wear a particular color uniform.
Yeah. It's unreal. So, good for you, McAdoo, but you're not fooling anyone. You're still the strangest looking head coach in the NFL. And I say that out of a place of love. Not really. I don't really like the Giants. I'm an Eagles fan. So, any barbs I can get in. It's not personal.
But it is.
Eddie Lacy, that change of scenery is working out really well for him, and he's getting paid. He met another weight loss incentive in his contract, and he looks good. Eddie Lacy looks good. I gotta say it. He's on my fantasy radar because if he's Eddie Lacy from a couple years ago, you could be getting a top 10 running back. And Seattle likes to run the ball.
They do.
So he's a bit of a sleeper right now. Eddie Lacy. He could make Thomas Rawls and C.J. Procise. He could put them in the rear view.
He
Alex
just
Collins.
had to get outside the cheese state.
Yeah, he had to get away from all the Gouda. The Gouda Buddha, which is what they sometimes referred to him in Green Bay. He had to get out of there. Too many good cheeses. Extra sharp cheddar.
It's a good one.
Pepper Jack, Monterey. Got to get out of there. Just can't handle all that cheese.
Apparently not.
Exactly. Ryan Nassib is set to sign with the Saints.
Wow.
Does anyone care?
Nope.
Hey, Carl's pretty good. And
He is, but
again, I as a secondary team, I root for Penn State. So, the Nassib family, Penn State all the way, even though Ryan went to Syracuse. But hey, Big Five went there, so,
Number 5 will always love you?
Number 5 will always love you. I believe that in my heart. The program from that game is stage my right.
I'm assuming that's something he said.
I won't dignify that with a response. D'Angelo Williams, former running back of the Pittsburgh Steelers, looks like he still has some juice in those legs, but he's going to take his talents to professional wrestling on July 2nd.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. That's another off-season story.
You say
He'll probably embarrass himself.
Is he doing an independent thing? Is it like TNA or whatever? Impact Wrestling.
Impact Wrestling. Yeah,
that was TNA. That was the thing that I think Jeff Jarrett started that after basically WCW. You know what I mean? They still like
not really.
They're still well. I mean, they're
slow
like
nod. Not really.
I'm gonna say like they're like I suppose probably the biggest thing that's not the WWF, but they're still.
Oh, okay.
They're still like nothing.
Well, good for him,
Yeah.
So pursuing his dream, maybe.
But I think that from what I hear, that company is just like such a crap show.
Yeah, that stinks.
Maybe they'll let him wear pink when he wants to.
That's probably true. I fully expect Gronk to go wrestling when he's done with the cleats, but I wasn't expecting that from D-Will.
Yeah.
Good for you, D-Will.
I mean, you can like make some money to do things that are pretty athletic, but not actually. Depending on what you're doing, you don't really get injured.
Yeah.
Not badly, anyway.
That's all the football news, of the past week.
Sorry.
It is June.
It is June. We're working through it. We were talking earlier, as we were doing pre-production, there was a Game Informer lying around. And we were talking earlier about like the Game Informer issue of the top 100 RPGs of all time. And I'm going to nerd out a little bit here. I'm a little disappointed at number 73, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It came in at 70-something, 73. It's my favorite game of all time, 97 classic. PS1. Alucard, right? That's Dracula backwards. How clever is that? He's his son.
Apparently, Game Informer does not share the same feelings as
I want to dispute these results. Like I'm torn right now. I'm upset.
Write an angry email.
I'm not sure how many like nerdy kids or whoever nerds were actually happy with the results. Because wasn't number 1 Skyrim?
Number 1 was Skyrim.
I mean, like that's the only one of those Elder Scrolls games that I've played, and I like it. I think it's it's a good game, but
Morrowind was better.
A lot of that's a thing. Like to a lot of Elder Scrolls fans, they either like really love Morrowind or they really love Oblivion, and they're like Skyrim. Yeah, it looks pretty, but like they dumbed it down a lot.
Yeah,
and they just think it's not nearly as good a game.
So in that spirit, Bill, if you had, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah.
What's your favorite video game of all time? What game brought you the most joy in your life?
It's my answer is going to be something that like no one's really familiar with. It was on that list there, and I told you that it's going to be in the top 10, and it was actually 13.
13.
But a game called Planescape Torment, which is a true RPG. You do your stats, your charisma, your wisdom, your strength, intelligence, all that crap. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of reading.
Okay.
It's a lot of equipping different like armors and tattoos and like different things that buff different stats, and you have a party. Combat's kind of stupid because it's point and click stuff, but it's not turn based in the way that like a Final Fantasy is, which I could never get into those because the turn based stuff just really turns me off. But really epic story.
There you go.
Real good if you're into that. If you like to read.
Reading
is fundamental.
The more you know.
But yeah, other ones that I would name is Deus Ex was also on the list. That's another one. Some Illuminati, real story stuff, but that's like a first-person
shooter,
but it's an RPG as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with that.
How about you, Tom? Here it comes.
Pokemon!
No, he's going to go with that Shadow game.
Shadow of the Colossus.
There he is. He's been harping on this for a while.
It's a great game. It's probably a top 3 game for the PS2.
Tom, I feel like you live in the past.
Hey, as I was just about to say, recently announced in this week's E3, they are remastering it for the PS4. So, pretty hyped for that.
I do remember the trailers when it was originally coming out. It definitely was like one of the better looking games for its time. Yeah, I don't. We hear some kind of buzzing.
Yeah, we're getting some interference here. Okay, yeah, like I know you're really excited about that, and you've also, outside of like football and your wedding, the only things you've talked about now are the Shadow of the Colossus and the Crash Bandicoot
Insane Trilogy
being released for PS4. So good for you.
June 30th.
There it is.
Bringing me back to my childhood.
Another list I've seen that on is like lists of games where it turns out that you're the bad guy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So to spoil Shadow of the Colossus, apparently like
you're
duped
turn into the bad guy.
Yeah, well you're apparently you're like duped into killing the monsters, even though they're like completely innocent.
You're trying to save the love of your life essentially,
and then you don't
by killing all the monsters.
Well, that's not very nice.
No,
killing is wrong.
It's a pretty fun game. It was pretty intense. Kind of like mixes a little action plus like puzzle kind of thing. There's not too much like just like random fighting. It's pretty much just boss battles the entire game.
All right.
It's pretty fun. You should give it a try.
I won't. My favorite, as I previously mentioned, is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and just a complete classic of a game. I highly recommend it to anyone. It's got vampires and monsters and stuff. Things. You collect items and stuff and things.
You gotta jump.
You gotta jump. Sometimes you gotta double jump. You gotta double jump, Tom. Double jump.
Just want to give a quick special shout out to Pokemon Snap as well.
Stop that nonsense. I'm gonna edit that out.
Classic.
I'm gonna edit that out.
Let's say the Castlevania from like back in the like original like Nintendo days.
Yeah.
The NES.
The
Nintendo NES, as the kids call it these days.
Nessie.
Yeah, it was like one of the first like really like good platformers.
Oh yeah,
that was
the
just
2D scroller.
Yeah, so freaking hard.
Yeah.
That you get the timing down, you get good at it. It's fun game, but it will punish the living crap out of you.
And the cool thing with Symphony of the Night is after you beat it, you get to beat it again. It inverts the castle. Woo. And you have to basically replay the game with harder monsters and things to fight and items to find. So it's really cool. So like you think you're done, and then all of a sudden, bang! You got a whole second game to play.
So it's like the new game plus stuff that a lot of games like to do. Like Arkham. I don't know if Asylum did, but Arkham City definitely did. It's a little bit harder.
Oh yeah. Another considerable shout out and something that really kept me playing video games a little longer than I thought I would.
Crystal.
No, Tom, stop talking about Pokemon.
Great franchise.
The God of War franchise.
Oh yes.
So God of War 3 especially.
It's a great one.
I was an adult when that one came out, but
it's still good.
For the first two, I was a bit younger, and it was really fun games. I'm really big into Greek mythology, hence I have a Greek mythology tattoo on my leg. But it's a lot of fun.
Number 4 is coming out.
Number 4 is coming out, so I'll have to fire up the old video game fingers, dust them off.
The old thumbs.
The old thumbs. It sounded weird.
You never. The video game fingers sounded much more normal. Yeah, I never had a PlayStation until PS4, so I've never played a God of War game, and it's a PlayStation exclusive. Yeah. It looked fun. I mean, and I like.
They're fun games. You get to murder stuff.
I like history and mythology, and all that stuff too. So
Yeah, they use I can't say real characters, right? It's mythology, but they used characters from all the folklore of yore.
And there's naughty stuff going on in it too.
There is, and so God of War 4 transitions to Norse gods, which is really cool. Having got into a little bit of Norse culture, started reading about it after watching the television show Vikings on History.
I'm related to Vikings.
They're not. So that's a lot of fun. And one last odd, random, just complete, nothing to do with football thing before we go. Another thing we just happened to talk about pre-production that I think should just make it on the podcast.
Because why not?
Because why not? We're here. Ranking the Batman movies. So we talked a little bit about Tom liking the nipple bat.
I did not say that.
So I'm going to rank the Batman movies.
I mean, like when we did talk about movies that Tom has actually seen, and we were talking about Batman, one that he actually did see was Batman and Robin, as I will say many times over, that movie doesn't exist. I don't know what Tom even saw.
Exactly. So if I had to rank those Batman movies from worst to first, I would say Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Batman vs. Superman. Oh boy. This may differ from what I said earlier. I'm gonna go Batman. I'm gonna go The Dark Knight Rises, Batman Returns, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight.
I mean, I think that sounded like what you said earlier.
I think it is.
Still have The Dark Knight at number 1.
The Dark Knight is my favorite. Heath Ledger's Joker is my favorite villain.
One of the greatest villains, or I guess portrayals, guess, in superhero movie history.
Yeah. Anyone else care to jump in on that?
I mean, I
haven't
guess
seen all of them. So.
I guess
of course you haven't.
I guess that just leaves one person then, you know. So again, that movie that we're going worst to first. I guess I did first to worst earlier, but I'll try to go the opposite direction. So that thing that shall not be named and does not exist at number 7.
The Voldemort of Batman's.
Yes.
Shall not be named.
That works.
Batman vs Superman, which, to be clear, I don't think it was bad as it was made out to be. It's still not a very good movie.
Yeah. Say Martha.
Yeah.
Martha.
Right. Go Dark Knight Rises. Not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
I do like a lot of it, but there's some really glaring plot holes. Not that, I mean, they're superhero movies, they're gonna have plot holes, but just some things that just really bother me. I did like Tom Hardy.
Yeah. The whole Christian Bale, Bruce Wayne as Batman, like him being like unhealthy and not be able to like move and stuff like that, it ticked me off.
Right. Christian Bale also, the more of that series went along, it started to overact more and more, which bothered me.
You're gonna love me.
Yeah, and the worst of the worst is definitely not Batman at all, but if you've seen Terminator Salvation, absolutely
garbage.
Horrible. Okay, so there's Dark Knight Rises. I'm going to go with...
Back on track.
The one Schumacher Batman movie that I actually enjoyed a bit was Batman Forever.
Yeah, Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, Yeah, and again, I actually like Val Kilmer, so whatever. I know it was like kind of like a more romantic thing. That's mostly what people picked on about it. It was more like
Kidman,
a love story.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman was very nice. All right, so moving along. Batman Begins.
That's what we're talking.
Batman Begins at number 3. My favorite of. No, I'm sorry, that was 4. That was 4. Yeah, my second favorite. So, Batman Begins at number 4, sorry. The Dark Knight at number 3, which I know a lot of people give me crap for liking the Keaton movies better, but whatever.
Yeah,
have your opinion.
It's your list, yeah.
I totally agree. Heath Ledger was phenomenal as the Joker. The story was, I think, the most concise and the most well played out. There were definitely some holes, but...
Yeah, my least favorite thing about that movie, if I can just jump in really quickly, is the change of Katie Holmes to Maggie Gyllenhaal. I hate when that happens.
I didn't really like Katie Holmes anyway. Like, that's the thing. Like, people don't like Katie Holmes. Oh, we'll get someone better. The same thing happened with Iron Man, going from
Terrence Howard
to Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
But so at number 2, I'm going to go with Batman Returns, and of course the original Batman, 1989. I grew up with that stuff. I remember seeing the original Batman in Tri-State Mall with my mom and brother.
That's awesome.
Jack Nicholson's my favorite actor. Like, just put it out there like that.
Yeah.
And it's just touches part of my childhood, and I definitely love Michael Keaton. He definitely had that. I look really uncomfortable all the time as Bruce Wayne, which you imagine someone in that position should. Like,
exactly.
He actually, despite
has to
what
pretend
people
to be a playboy,
despite what people want to say, especially about Keaton coming off just being pretty much a comedic actor, I think he played the role perfectly.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed both of those movies. I watched Batman, the original from 1989, this past weekend. Yeah,
and phenomenal. And Batman Returns, touch on that a little bit. If you watch that, some really raunchy humor.
Yeah, really. And Christopher Walken's in it.
And there's a waste of Christopher Walken in it, but yes, he is in it. Yeah. Sometimes that happens with Christopher Walken. Yeah, it's he's going to be awesome all the time, except for like, hey, we're just not going to have him really do anything. It could be like
got a fever.
It could be anyone in that role, but
Joe Dirt.
We just got Christopher Walken because he was awesome in Joe Dirt.
He was. He made Joe Dirt happen.
Yeah,
it was a 2001 masterpiece. Thank you very much, Joe Dirt.
But I stabbed you in the face
with a soldering iron. So there's that.
Yeah.
So you know what? I think we've taken up enough of people's time here, just rambling on. And
if they're still listening,
if you're still listening, I'm sure there's a market for a bunch of nerds rambling on about superheroes and video games. So we'll be sure to fill up some podcast episodes with that throughout the off season. Once we get into preseason, we'll have plenty of juicy material to get into. But in the meantime, we're just going to talk about some random stuff behind the football news.
We're going to nerd out
a little bit. Maybe we'll talk about Harry Potter. Not really. That would just make Tom happy.
Like you're not a Harry Potter fan.
No, I'm a fan, but you're better than me at Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit. So
I am.
I'm not a fan.
There you go. There you have it.
I did watch them, though. I mean, I started with 3 because they had Gary Oldman. I was like, all right, they got Gary Oldman. All right, I'll give this a shot.
Yeah, Gary Oldman. What a range for an actor.
By the way, back to Batman just a little bit. The best casting in that of all those movies, any of the series, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Michael Caine.
I know exactly who it was. It was the Batman.
Michael Caine is a close second as Alfred.
It wasn't really Alfred to me.
Oh,
whatever.
Fair enough.
I like Michael Caine, but he just wasn't Alfred to me.
There you go. So that's our show for the week, episode 12. A little bit of everything, right? We're gonna start mixing it up a little bit.
Everything and nothing.
Yeah.
Keep up.
Yes, sir. So be sure to join us in 2 weeks. 2 weeks time, and we'll be back with some more football news and random content. So make sure you join us, you like us, you share us, you subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher, at DBC_football on Instagram and Twitter, DBC Football on the YouTube channel. www.dbcfootball.com is our website. Again, be sure to check us out, like, subscribe, share with all of your friends. It means a lot to us. Thanks for coming back and listening. Make sure you
stay humble,
drink beer,
have a good time, and love football. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.